Why did you get sent to the principal's office? I got a £5 bag of gummy bears as a prize from a fundraiser, so the next period my best friend and I put £5 of gummy bears in compromising sexual positions. Nobody else thought it was as funny as we did. In middle school, I printed out hundreds of photos of my friend and had my other friends tape them up all over the school. The principal called me and my friend, the victim, who thought it was hilarious, into his office. I'm scared shitless. He calls my friend's mom and puts her on speakerphone and explains the situation. His mom laughed hysterically and I never got in trouble. The principal was so embarrassed. In second grade I randomly threw a rock in the air and it came down and hit a kid in the head. The principal hit me, knocked me to the ground, and then kicked me. All behind closed doors. I was so scared that I didn't tell my mom. I went looking for him later, but he had died. Lucky him. Me and my friend were walking home from school and then an elderly woman walked by. My friend turned to me and said, "Watch this." So I watched him run towards the old lady and jump on top of her like a kangaroo. At that point I just turned and ran for my life because I wanted no part in this. Turns out that the elderly lady was the grandmother of a younger student at my school and happened to see me run away. I got called to the principal's office and the principal asked about what happened. I told her the story, proved my innocence and got away scratch-free. My friend got suspended for 5 days and let's just say that we're not that close anymore. Don't worry, the grandmother was fine but a little shook up. In 7th grade, we were practicing for the school play, Schoolhouse Rock I think, and while fucking around backstage, I found a carton of a dozen eggs on the ground. So I grabbed a buddy, showed him the eggs, we took them and threw them at the wall outside because I mean, eggs, right? Got called in the next day because as it turns out, the 6th grade class was going to be raising chickens and what I had found was, not just a random carton of eggs that one might buy at a grocery store. I learned a very important lesson that day. A guy in elementary school had a crush on me and was a good friend with my sister. One day he decided that he wanted to kiss me even though I didn't want to. So my sister held me so that he could kiss me. To get away, I bit my sister's arm and ran. The teacher sent me to the principal's office because of the bite, even after I explained to her why I did it. I got detention. The first time in 7th grade, we had to write an essay for history class about a significant event in WW2, so I wrote about the Great Betrayal. Britain surrendering Singapore allowed the Japanese to advance to become a threat to Australia. The teacher, an English woman, sent me to the deputy headmaster's office for being mischievous. The best part was she failed the essay, so the deputy reviewed it and gave me 96%. Somebody in my class came on my teacher's care handle. I don't know who did it. I wasn't a part of the group that partied at her house. She had fucked one of my friends and then dumped him, so I was sitting in science class talking about how much I hated her and would just throw her in a vat of acid. We were talking about acid that day, so someone told on us. We got called down to the principal's office. They talked about the acid, which we were just joking about, but the real problem was someone came on her car. She named me specifically for some reason. I pointed out that I was a female and had no real way of doing such a thing. The principal just dismissed the whole thing. I didn't tell on her for having an affair with a student, but someone did, because she lost her job that year. I was in there when she found out. I was taking a makeup quiz, one of the 100 that no one else took, because I had been out with an operation. She was crying to one of the teachers she was having affairs with that she found out from reading in the teacher's newspaper that were looking for someone for her position. When she asked about it, they told her she was fired. Haha. During 7th grade, one day during recess after lunch, the playground supervisor called me over. She told me I was to go immediately to the principal's office. I look at her in bewilderment. As the child of 2 high school teachers, I was a very well-behaved kid. I wasn't the type of kid who got into trouble at school. Because inevitably everything I did at school always found its way back to my parents. I look at the playground supervisor who tries to convince me that everything will be okay and then walk towards the school, open the doors, walk down the hall, and towards the principal's office. My mind begins swarming, wondering just what the hell it is that I had done. I was a good kid. Why was I in trouble? Was I in trouble for leaving my empty milk carton on the lunch tray when I handed it to the lunch lady to clean? Was I in trouble for asking to be excused from class to use the bathroom cause I had to change my pad and I had to walk all the way to my locker to get a fresh one since the pad dispenser was broken, and I was gone for a good 15 minutes? Was I in trouble because I had mouthed off at yet another classmate who called me retarded for liking New Kids on the Block? My mind whirled with the possibilities. I walk inside the principal's office and sit down on a chair across from the secretary's desk. She doesn't notice me for a few minutes, but when she does, she calls me over and directs me to the room where the principal was sitting. I walk in there, sit down, and brace myself for the inevitable ass-chewing I was about to receive. I could feel the sweat begin to gather at the corners of my temple as the principal looks at me and says, "I'm so sorry." I look at him. "Your grandfather passed away. You're to meet your parents outside, across the street at the gas station. They'll pick you up there." It was raining that day. Me, being me, I did exactly as I was told. I waited across the street at the gas station, outside, in the rain. When my parents came to pick me up, my dad yelled at me for not having enough common sense to go inside the gas station and wait. I burst into tears and wailed, "I just did what I was told." Me and my friend were walking home from school and then an elderly woman walked by. My friend turned to me and said, "Watch this." So I watched him run towards the old lady and jump on top of her like a kangaroo. At that point I just turned and ran for my life because I wanted no part in this. Turns out that the elderly lady was the grandmother of a younger student at my school and happened to see me run away. I got called to the principal's office and the principal asked about what happened. I told her the story, proved my innocence and got away scratch-free. My friend got suspended for 5 days and let's just say that we're not that close anymore. Don't worry, the grandmother was fine but a little shook up. At my school there was a room above the auditorium that was at one point used as a green room for performances. It hadn't used for a very long time. My friends and I discovered that the door to the auditorium wasn't locked one day and decided to go explore up there. A teacher must have heard us, and the principal came up to investigate. We almost got away. We all ended up getting a 30-minute detention, which would have been much worse if they had realized that we actually went up on the roof of the school. There was an unlocked hatch in the room. I was a biter. I bit at least one person every year of grade school. They couldn't technically release who bit who, but I was always honest with my parents. Usually I'd been provoked somehow, so my parents were pretty chill about it, just hey, be careful what you're getting into, slap on the wrist type of thing. In retrospect, I guess that's where my biting/being bitten kink came from. I wrote a test and was asked to name 5 natural disasters. I forgot the 5th and wrote down my teacher's name. This was in middle school.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more HeardIt.